Welcome to Tarot Combos, where we draw two cards and talk about the interplay of the two energies. So today, this is really for yesterday, Sunday, January 18th, which was a new moon. So I'm using my Zodiac Tarot. I'm just playing catch up because I didn't get a chance to do this yesterday. And we're still within the energy of the new moon, so they say. So thank you for being here. Let's see what's ready to look at today. We have the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords. Challenged by Strength. Oh, that is interesting. Okay. I say that every time. It's also interesting, which is the kind of the most boring way to describe something. Interesting. So we have the Ace of Swords challenged by the Strength card. This is interesting to me because we have this like a card of divine clarity. How could that be challenged by strength? It's almost like the to me it feels like, what is it? Because this is usually one of inner strength, obviously, not brute force physical strength. And it's one of like the gentle strength that comes from kind of like your deepest knowing. You don't have to try too hard to embody this strength. It's the strength that comes through lived experience of kind of when you've integrated all of the struggles you've had through life, and they somehow in their own magical kind of way weave together, and you feel like you're stepping into your power. How could that challenge this Ace of Swords, which is usually one of like this, there's a divine aspect, meaning kind of this beyond the self quality of the aces, and it's clarity that's coming in. Both of these feel like the way things become embodied, the way things come into our felt visceral experience sometimes, but our felt experience that's through lived, walking the walk, living, struggling, you know what I mean? And it's not something that you can learn in a book. It's not something that somebody else teaches you and that you just listen and go, yes, okay, now I get it. It's the only way to get it is by going through the muck of it all, right? And then moving through challenges. And that's why I said that's like that magical way it all comes about, because it's unpredictable. It's not like a formulaic journey where it's like, oh, well, if you go through this thing and this thing and this thing, it's going to result in this. So that's all you got to do. Follow those steps. No. So even though you might feel like, oh, well, that worked for that person. They went through XYZ in this order. They went through these challenges. They read those books, whatever. It doesn't work that way for each person. There's no way it could work that way. We're all so unique. So both of these energies feel like it's that the way that we alchemize our lived experience into something greater, into this clarity that emerges, into this inner feeling like we're sitting in our seat of power. So to me, there's a lot of similarities with this. So what I find interesting is the way that how can sitting in our, like finally sitting in our seat of power, where anything can come and go and I am unfazed. I'm my authentic self. I am in alignment with my words, my actions, my thoughts. So how could that challenge? I'm almost wondering, because it's in the challenge areas, like if we haven't yet alchemized our lived experience, how can that lead to this kind of like bypassing in a way, because this is all like the thoughts, swords are thought energy. So how can us, like, not having gone through the alchemizing of our lived experience, I don't know how else to say it other than alchemizing. It's when all those pieces weave together in the way that they're going to weave. It's integration that leads to that, oh, I am me in my power. Oh, look. Oh. So, like, how does that, like, if we're not doing that, or if we haven't yet, to me, there's a responsibility here. It doesn't just happen. Like, oh, wow, it happened. There's usually some intention that that's the journey you're on. That's what I feel. It's like, it's just not going to happen by accident that you're like, oh, I'm in my power. No, you might keep running up against the same struggles until you look at them and say, I'm going to deal with these like once and for all, or at least start to. And then it's like, boom, boom, boom. Things start coming in and locking into place, and I feel that strength. So if that's not happening, then of course clarity in, like, you know how you have those aha moments, like when you're kind of, you are willing to look at things, and then it's like, oh, now things start to make sense because I'm looking at these challenges and owning up to them. That's what I mean, the responsibility to look, the responsibility to feel, the responsibility to feel without bypassing and trying to take the shortcut and trying to say, well, now, okay, I get it from a cognitive perspective and that's the end of the road. No, it's a lived, felt experience, and it's like a non-experience. It's just like what happens by the intention and owning up to doing that work. So to me, that's what's coming with this, is like the clarity of those aha moments, the dots that get connected when you do the bottom up work, not like starting with the cognitive, which can tend to bypass, can lead to bypassing and just say, oh, I get it. Yeah, I got it. Sure. But then you still repeat the old patterns. You still have those dysfunctional behaviors or whatever. So what does that look like for you right now? Where do you feel like, maybe the question, let's think of the question. Where do you, in your life, feel like it hasn't quite integrated yet in the, like, and you, it's one of those, if you know, kind of that feeling of integration where it's like, okay, some pieces locked into place and bubbled up into these aha moments. And I feel more in my seat of power because I am more in alignment. I am more in my authenticity. Where do you feel like that's happening in your life? Where do you feel like you're still waiting for it to happen? Because in the way that you might know that you're waiting for it to happen is because those things keep coming back around where you're like, oh, I'm starting to recognize my patterns and they don't feel so good. And then you're like, maybe it's time to look at it. Like, do you have any of those going on in your life? And if none of this makes sense, that could either be like, hooray, you're already in your strength, or maybe it's not that point in the journey yet where you feel like it's even important to look at these things. And that's fine too. It's going to hit when it hits, and it's different for each of us. There's something else here I feel like wants to come in the way that it almost feels like there's a question here about what might get in the way or detract or prevent those aha moments from happening. Because this being in the challenge of the clarity. could it be that in the rush to do the work, to integrate, to keep doing the practices that have worked for you in the past, so it's like go, 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 where integration is like trying to catch up to the practice? Because maybe you do feel some strength, like you do have that fortitude, that determination that kind of is another attribute of strength. Like you have the like willingness to go, to do, to look, but integration seems to be like playing catch up, and those aha clarity moments haven't landed yet in a really big way. So that to me feels like a really important question, because it might be a pointer to slow down. In fact, that's a weird way to say that. I feel like with strength, you know, some of the most strong people in our lives, like, you know, when you look at someone and they have that quiet strength, they don't move quickly, do they? They are slow. They are intentional. They are deliberate. And they take their time, and they know that slow is strong. So there's something here about slowing down and waiting for that integration to catch up. There's no forcing it. And what does that mean in real life? I think it means, like, in a really lived sense, like practical sense, I think it does mean just, if you are one to do practices, like, oh, I got to meditate every day, you know, or whatever it is. I got to do the shadow work. I got to keep looking. Here, I'm kind of talking to myself here. It's like, maybe take a day off. Maybe take a month off and just live like a human, just going through life for a while, and then see what happens. Like, still be willing to move slowly through life. Be present. Not all up in your head, not in human doing mode, but in human being mode, and just like see what's waiting to land. I don't know, there's something about that, what's waiting to land, that it feels very powerful. So I'm going to end with that. I really like that question. I feel like that's a hard one to answer, because I don't know what I don't know. Like, what is waiting to land? What is waiting to lock into place and bubble up into the... That is what I have felt has been coming, has been like I've been searching for, waiting for, whatever. And it's like, pause, move slowly, be present, all those things, and wait for it to land. We don't like to wait, do we? We're not good waiters. I think that's the challenge. When we do feel like, oh, I can do this. I can do it. I can do the hard work. The hard work of like the self. And then it's like, I want more, go, 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 do. And then it's like, wait, integration takes time and it is not linear. So yeah, what's waiting to land?